TG Geeks, episode 312, February 8th, 2021. What do magic and Oklahoma trailer parks have in common? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre. You name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we are coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona. I almost tickled myself because I almost said, you name it, we talk about it. Registered trademark.
Okay. And I'm Ed Raggington, and after hearing that, I've got nothing more to contribute.
Let's get on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, we have a guest for you today that we've heard from him twice, once in a roundtable, and once as himself about his book, David R Slayton, who writes the Adam Binder novels, and he is here to tell us about the second novel, which comes out later on this year, but just kind of catch up and move things along for him. We've got a regular birthday shout-outs, our featured podcast of the week, and some feedback this week, as well as our regular shout-outs. In the second segment, did you put it?
Nope.
I don't know. I forgot all about that.
We didn't decide on anything.
We'll figure it out when we get there. And then we have our weekly recap and our shout-outs. And I think we'll just get right to it. And we want to welcome back to our show Mr. David R Slayton. And we have to say David R Slayton. We don't want you to get confused with the dentist, David Slayton. And he is the author of the Adam Binder novels, the first of which, White Trash Warlock, was released last year. And he has some exciting news for us today. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you for having me back, guys.
And let's see. So, for those that are not familiar with you and did not listen to the last interview,
I think you kind of need to, not just the last interview, but maybe the roundtable episode as well.
Yeah, you did the roundtable with us, and then we did an interview for White Trash Warlock. But tell people, our listeners who haven't listened to our podcast or haven't listened very long, who is David R Slayton? How did you get into writing? And what can we expect next? Well, just let's do the history of who you are and how you got into writing.
That was a flicker.
That was a flicker. Oh, God, we can't lose power. Anyway, elevator pitch as if you're going to the top of the Eiffel. Where
the
are
Eiffel
we?
Tower?
Yes, the top of
the elevator tower.
The elevator tower. Oh, God. Should we start this over again? No. As you're going to the Empire State Building. There we go. Elevator pitch of your life.
So the short of it is, I'm David R Slayton. I'm originally from Guthrie, Oklahoma, where I grew up desperately wanting to find fantasy novels with characters like me, gay characters especially, and couldn't find any that didn't have tragic endings or were about gay trauma or coming out. And, you know, those are all great books written by better authors than me. I just wanted fun adventure novels, fantasies, that happened to star gay characters. So, not being able to find any, I started writing them. And so now I live in Denver, Colorado, and write all of the books that I always wanted to read.
Cool. Well, that got us to like floor number 6. So we got a long way to go here. So what was it that I know that you talked to us last time of you had an inspiration, a teacher or somebody that inspired you to write?
My aunt, I grew up with an aunt who always wanted to write, and she's kind of a tragic figure. She has a condition where her jawbone has been deteriorating most of her life. So throughout her life, she has had to have many, many surgeries. I think 30. At some point, I think back in the early 80s, they gave her Teflon implants were then giving her, which were decaying and causing all kinds of other problems. They just kept removing them. So she's lived a life of a lot of pain and a lot of unfortunate, because of the painkillers, substance issues, and which is very common in my family. But she managed over the years to write a few books and to get her master's in creative writing.
Cool.
And she's always been this inspiration to me. And she's one of those people who just always encouraged me and always supported me. And she's the first person who ever said to me, you know, David Ray, lots of people can write a book, but not a lot of people can publish a book.
Right.
And I was lucky to have her as an inspiration, and she was very independent, especially as a woman in her time and place. She lived on her own, moved away from the kind of the larger family unit to a small town called Watanga.
Oh dear.
Which is actually not that far from Guthrie, and it will be showing up in book 3 of Adam's series. I get to put Watanga in just for a minute as kind of a nod to her. And
I don't know what I don't know what it is about
sorry.
Watanga, but Keith, all of a sudden when he said,
No,
"Oh dear,"
just-
obviously he
It's
knows
like,
something
oh,
about it.
yeah. Well, being from Oklahoma, you know all those weird named towns.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's a beautiful national park there called Roman Nose,
Right.
named after a native chief. And so I managed to get camping there a little bit in my high school years, and of course my aunt lived there for much of my childhood. So I have fond memories of that area.
right. So I noticed that you, when you quoted her, you said David Ray, and of course, I know you've tried to shed that, but
Yeah, it's the use of the middle name.
It's a familial thing, and
Yeah.
and regional.
Well, I like how you address that in your book White Trash Warlock about the family usage of calling a person by their middle name.
Yeah.
It's interesting, too, because I'm the only male in my family in 3 or 4 generations who didn't end up with Jack.
Oh my God.
My grandfather was Bob Jack. My father was Larry Jack. My brother is Bonner Jack. My other brother is Bobby Jack. My nephew is Caleb Jack. My other nephew is Conrad Jack. And somehow I'm David Ray.
Well, because you're the special one.
My father and mother had a friend named David Ray who died in Vietnam, and so I'm named after him.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Well,
That's
that
good
makes
for reasons.
sense. That makes sense. So you have White Trash Warlock that came out, was it October of last year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
October 13th. And what
Yes.
a perfect date was that.
It was. And it was, the book was absolutely captivating to me. I just loved it. And it was incredible. And seeing hearing some of the things that Adam went through and the places and I kind of identified with him to a certain extent just because I grew up in Oklahoma, although on the east side and you were more central west side.
Oh, you can say
Guthrie.
what? You can say he was on the other side of the tracks?
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but it's true. No.
Oh, well, the truth comes out.
The closer you get to Arkansas, the less we respect you.
We're pretty darn close, that's for sure. Oh, my Lord. Too close, as a matter of fact.
I got an email from a library in Veneta.
Oh, my
which
gosh.
is kind of more Western. And it was like they stocked Warlock and were so excited to have a book set in Oklahoma like it. Tiny little town, by the way.
Yes.
And I was just so incredibly touched. I think they have a population of 3,000 right now. So
wow, yeah.
I'm hoping they understand that there's a gay protagonist.
Well, and actually, Veneta, probably that most of that population is. We used to call, we're going to send you off to Veneta because that's where the state mental hospital was.
Oh my!
Or as we used to refer to it, the nut house. But Veneta,
which Adam would take umbrage at.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, and Veneta's right around Grand Lake, the Cherokees, or Grand Lake as it's referred to colloquially, or most of the time, but it's Grand Lake of the Cherokees. So anyway,
yeah, most of their population is native, I believe.
Yep.
Or at least they have a very strong native population there.
Just right off of Route 66 as well. So
nice.
And Route 66 will feature greatly in book 3 as well.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
So there's lots of
very nice.
Actually, Oklahoma has still the largest drivable portions of Route 66 in the nation now, because virtually all of it's still intact.
Yeah, there are a number of places where it's all gone.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's
and just back to my aunt real quick on that topic. The portion that they sent to the Smithsonian was dug up near Watonga.
Oh.
So when they came and took a big swath of the old concrete to send to the Smithsonian on a flatbed, she went and got me a couple of pieces. And this was, again, I think this was maybe early 90s, maybe 80s.
Wow.
But I can't remember. It's been long enough. But I have it sitting here on my desk. And so I have a piece of the original Route 66 from when they took that chunk out for the Smithsonian. And so I, got it out and looked at it and put it on the desk for when I wrote book 3, Deadbeat Druid.
Cool. So speaking of, you're in Deadbeat Druid, and just all of a sudden we skipped by book number 2, which is what we're here to talk about.
Well, I think I want to kind of back up just a tiny bit and say, all right, so we understand what it is that got you into writing and how you desperately wanted to have a character, that was gay, that you and other readers could identify with. But the premise of the story itself about who your lead protagonist is and what makes him special and that entire world he lives in, how did that come about?
So growing up more rural, more poor, with a lot of food insecurity, which is something Adam faces a lot, I also grew up with a lot of folklore, and I grew up with a lot of, I think the safest way to call it would be rural folklore. And we mentioned that a little bit last time, getting into some of my history there. But I also have, my parents were very happy to have me because they had 3 boys and a girl, and I was always just off in my head, making worlds and making stories. And I was that kid you could leave alone in the corner for hours with a book, and I would be fine because I'd spend most of it staring into space. And slowly over the years, the things that I grew up with, the things that I imagined, all just kind of meshed into this book. So the more supernatural side of Adam's adventures came from that. And Adam's need to escape his real world into the magical came from my need to escape the real world into my imagination.
Cool.
Very nice.
So we have this big arc-ish type thing going on in book 1. It started, and without giving any spoilers, Adam goes to Colorado and to visit his brother, or at the behest of his brother, I would suppose. And then we
and that's as far as I've gotten.
Yeah,
he's arrived in Colorado because I'm going through the book, people. He just arrived in Colorado where I'm at. So watch what you say from here on in.
And he has some obstacles and things to figure out, and family to figure out, and then it kind of ends, and we have a new book you're writing. Or actually, you're in the editing phase or final edit phase, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, publishing is a very weird world. So I'm still doing promotion for White Trash Warlock, which only came out 4 months ago. At the same time, I'm finishing edits now on book 2, Trailer Park Trickster. So it's February here in when we're recording, and I don't think we'll release for a little bit. But so I'm finishing up book 2, or having to revisit it, and I had already put it down and written book 3 and sent that off a month ago.
Good heavens!
And I've since then I've gone on and fully edited one of my epic fantasies, sent that off to my agents, and I am now working on another one of my epic fantasies, one that was published before, but the contract got canceled. Long, sordid story, but I'm elbows deep in that now. And it's publishing's fascinating because by the time I go out, hopefully with tour and promo for Trailer Park Trickster in October, which I hope happens with COVID and where the vaccines are, I'll already be 3 to 4 novels ahead in my mind. So I'll have to go back and read it myself or listen to the audiobook myself to remember, what's this book about?
What did I write about in that? What part of the story is that?
Exactly. And then, of course, I'm plotting, if we get more, if people like it and buy it and show support for the series, I'm putting treatments together for 3 more books in the series.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I follow you on social media, specifically Twitter, and I've noticed a fun little phenomenon that's beginning to happen with you. It's the same thing that happened with Mr. Edwards with his tarot sequence novels. You're getting fan art.
It is the coolest thing ever. It has happened about 4 times now, maybe 5, and I have been so incredibly touched. And as somebody who deals with depression, and particularly seasonal depression, those have just been, man, they have been like getting a bouquet of flowers every time from a stranger. They have just brightened my world, the fan art I've gotten. From Jake, who writes the Battleborn comic, and Noor, who was the first person to send me some, and several people in between. It's just been a phenomenal experience to fan art.
Jake's artwork, and I'm looking at it right now, the picture that he did of Adam. I mean, it's fantastic. I saw another one that he did of Vic earlier, and the guys, but I think what's really amazing is that your one book already 4 months out is already generating some kind of response of this. I mean, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about social media, and despite all the ugliness that can take place there, I love the fact that, for people like you and for Katie Edwards, you build this community of readers who just gravitate towards what you're writing. And I think that really speaks to the quality, not just the quality of your writing, but the fact that you're out there trying to fill a need and speak, and again, doing it in a form of high quality. Because there's a lot of gay, paranormal, magical fiction that's out there. I mean, all you have to do is go to Amazon and just type, gay magic, and boom, you're going to get like hundreds of books out there. But very few of them deliver this kind of response, like what I'm seeing with your stuff. That has just got to, just knock you off your feet when you see something like that.
The emails that I've gotten from Ethan or Bryce and some of these gay guys in rural areas who grew up like I did, who are living that experience now, it's exactly what I wanted. If I never got anything else out of it, getting those emails, knowing that I've touched people in places and like where I grew up who didn't feel seen, I could be happy with just that, to be honest. Yeah. Obviously, I want more because I'm greedy like that. But it has just, it's blown me away. There's no other way to say it. It leaves me speechless every time I get an email like that.
No, go ahead.
Good.
I was going to say
the fan art is just icing on the cake. But every time I get an email from somebody who feels seen because they've read this book,
And how does that fuel the creative process? I would think that because I know just in my job, if I'm busy working and I just get a private email, saying I really appreciate the fact that you're doing this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I find that it fuels me in what I do. How does that affect you when you see this kind of response? How does that affect your creativity?
It validates me, and it gives me the will to keep going and to keep trying. I tried to publish for years with epic fantasy and wasn't getting anywhere. I've literally been writing and trying to publish now for nearly 20 years.
Wow.
So White Trash Warlock was the first thing that landed in print. Like I said earlier, I had a contract that was going to go through and then had to get canceled, which was very difficult. Still one of the two hardest personal business decisions I've made in my writing career, possibly in my life. But now, like, okay, it's there. There are people because writing a book and publishing it is putting yourself out into the world, especially this book. This book is so incredibly personal. People say, well, what is it? And you mentioned that there's a lot of gay paranormal, but there's not a lot of gay-owned voices books that deal with this. Now, obviously, I don't deal with elves who steal cars and stuff like that, but I did grow up in a trailer in the woods in Oklahoma.
Right.
I did grow up with food insecurity. I did grow up with a family where I didn't fit, very much a cuckoo child. And so I think that's what's resonating, and knowing that it's resonating is what's just giving me life, to use the phrase.
You're being honest in your writing, and I'm assuming it's cathartic for you as well to write about those things, and then for people to pick that up and to be seen. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing for everybody concerned, and you have this huge community that's just beginning to blossom. If we take the Katie Edwards model, shall we say, and in the way his fandom has increased, and I think that you're going to be every bit as big as his.
I think so
just
too.
Based on this early fan art and
this
the
early
messages
response
and the quality of your writing and the quality of the story and the sheer what's the word I'm looking for? The genre that you write in, and it, gosh, I just lost the word. I'm old. It got lost somewhere in my rambling. But the way you write and what you write about, and you write from the hearts, it is all part of that whole ethos that you're going for.
Well, and I owe a big thank you to Keith, to Katie Edwards, and I'll fully admit, until I had Warlock wrapped up, I hadn't read his stuff because we're adjacent. We're both urban fantasy with gay characters. I needn't have worried because we write such incredibly different things, adjacent but not overlap. And the fact that I hadn't met him, he didn't owe me anything but to blurb Warlock and to give me, to kind of embrace me and tweet about it and embrace Warlock and me as part of the community and as a peer. I owe him such an incredible debt of gratitude. I'm actually shipping him some books as a gift, something that he wants personally that I need to. But again, I cannot say thank you enough to the people like Keith and Gail Carragher that have helped me get to this stage of things and to help me help people find Warlock.
Cool. And that's what we wanted to do. Obviously, this is your first interview on this book, book number 2. And obviously, we are going to have you back, assuming that you want to come back just before it's released. So this is just a precursor and get your name out there again.
Well,
White
also
Trash Warlock
state of the a state of the world. What's going on in all things David R Slayton, and what's the status of the books. So just to recapitulate, your second book, which is again. Trailer Park, what did you call it again?
Trailer Park Trickster.
Trailer Park Trickster. Okay.
Trailer Park Tricksters.
So
that goes back to Guthrie. So,
okay.
The first book you mentioned, We Leave for Denver. At the end of Warlock, there are a few questions unanswered about the big mysteries, and a hook. It's not quite a cliffhanger because the main story of Warlock is closed. I feel like that's important for readers, so you don't feel like you're left hanging.
Right.
The main mysteries and plots of Warlock are resolved, but I do leave you on a big hook, which brings Adam back to Guthrie in book 2 to answer a couple of the really important questions that he didn't find answers for.
Right. And that's why I didn't say cliffhanger when I said Adam leaves Denver, because it's not a cliffhanger. It's perfectly, as you described, a hook to get you to read the next book and to want to know more about Adam. And I certainly want to know more about Adam and his history that I'm sure you will effectively string us along for a while, which is a good thing.
Yeah. How many books are we looking at?
Well, so I write in 3-book arcs, usually. The fantasy I just finished is a duology, and I'm still itching at the feeling of it. It's weird. But I try to close the arc at 3 books. So if you were making it into a television series or you're making it into a movie, you could get trilogies, right? Star Wars or I don't like I'm still haunted by the very last moment of Benson, what happened? Who won the election? Stuff like that, or cases where the author either died or the series got canceled or they got bored and never went back. What happened?
I know we talk about that all the time.
Yeah, it's like, George R. Martin.
What happened? Did they just stop writing?
He actually he said he's been very productive because of quarantine, and there's been jokes of well, can we keep him quarantined? Because he's churning out hundreds and hundreds of pages now, being isolated. It's been great for me. I wrote 2 books last year. Horrible situation, but writing is my escape. So it's been weirdly good for my writing while everything else has been difficult. Anyway, I write in 3-book arcs. By the end of Deadbeat Druid, the 3rd book, all of the questions from the 1st book will be answered. All of the plot points resolved. People wonder, they think there's a love triangle. I'm not really quite sure it's truly a love triangle, but those questions will be resolved too. There are also some things I'm putting in that if we get another arc of 3 books, I know exactly how it starts. I know exactly where it begins. And if we get a spinoff, I also have laid some seeds for a spinoff. Should my publisher Blackstone decide that they want more books about Adam, or if they want something a little different with the spinoff.
Cool.
Very nice. So, okay, I'd love to talk to you some more because I've got questions.
You're so easy to talk to.
Yeah, and I got a ton of questions, but fortunately, we don't have the time. So, if people want to learn more about you and about what you're writing, is there any internet presence, anything on the interwebs, like a website or social media? How can people look you up
on the internets?
The easiest way to find me is just to Google David R Slayton. I do have a website, davidslayton.com. I just had it redone. I'm really proud of it. Todd Jackson did a really great job on it. And all my social media links. But if you do search for me, just make sure you put the R. There are a lot more David Slaytons out there than I realized when I first started writing, including some Florida man types.
Oh.
And one very... Yeah, so you get some creepy types if you just put David Slayton. But if you put David R Slayton, or if you just put David Slayton books, there's also a writer who writes an assassin series, David Slayton Assassin, which I didn't know about.
Oh, dear.
So just remember the R, David R Slayton, and you'll be good, and you'll find me. And I love connecting with readers. You'll find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm all over the place. Just find me and connect. I'm here.
Well, this has been really great. Thank you for being on our show again, David.
Thank you for having me.
The force is strong with the Two Gay Geeks webcast.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah.
And just say, God, it was so great talking to David. That was a fantastic conversation.
I just love talking to him.
And the time flew.
Exactly. And we talked to him 10 minutes before and almost an hour after.
I know.
He's just wonderful.
It was a great conversation.
He's just really a great guy. Well, here's a few selected birthdays for February 8th through February 14th, 2021. February 8th, John Williams, composer.
Okay, that John Williams, because there's another one who's a classical guitarist, and
Yes.
I'm never sure which one you're going to go with.
Oh, this is John Williams,
The composer.
52 Oscar nominations and 5 wins.
Only 5 wins.
Yeah,
I'm
interesting.
surprised at that.
Started working for various Hollywood studios as a pianist and an arranger. Worked with everybody in the late 40s and early 50s.
But that's how you get started.
Yep, and then he started composing for television. He was actually encouraged by Bernard Herrmann to start composing because he said he just had a great talent. And started off in television as Johnny Williams for Lost in Space, Land of the Giants, and Gilligan's Island.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
I didn't know.
Like,
wow. I had no idea.
And in the 70s, he was Mr. Disaster Score himself. Poseidon Adventure.
Well, if he was working with Irwin Allen,
yeah,
with the television properties, it's no great surprise that Irwin would bring him along for the movies.
Yep, and then Star Wars, and the rest is history.
Oh my goodness, isn't it ever?
Interesting thing that I looked at, and I said, oh my gosh, and I said I would save it for this. He is the father of former Toto lead singer Joseph Williams.
Whoa. Former Toto, the band?
Yes.
I didn't even know they had a lead singer named Joseph Williams.
Well, apparently he was at one time. So anyway, and he was obviously friends with Bernard Herrmann. And then we have Jules Verne. What do you say? French novelist who gave us 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and
Around the World in 80 Days.
Around the World in 80 Days. Journey to the center of the Earth.
Yeah.
A Journey to the Center of the Universe. Yes. Is that right?
That's apocryphal.
Oh, that's apocryphal. And then we have Ethan Phillips, actor, Neelix on Voyager, and did cameos on Next Gen and DS9 as what is maitre d' at that club on the holodeck.
Yeah, in the holodeck, as part of the Big Goodbye.
Yeah,
the Dixon.
Yeah, Dixon Hill.
Yeah, Dixon Hill detective stories that Picard likes.
Yep, and he's an accomplished tenor sax player.
Oh, well, good for him.
Interesting. February 9th, Alban Berg, Austrian composer, early 20th century, and his compositional style combined romantic lyricism and 12-tone. And some say his music had a surface glamour that Schoenberg did not. And Schoenberg was the catalyst for 12-tone in the Second Viennese School. 2 of his operas are widely performed today, Wojciech and Lulu, which are difficult pieces to get through, but there are some moments in both of them that had some really fascinating music.
Wojciech's, I think, is a little easier to get through. I've heard moments when we'd be in the car and they'd be playing it on the radio, and I can get through that one. Lulu, on the other hand, I can't muscle through that one.
Yeah.
I've tried.
And then we have Brian Greene, theoretical physicist and author. He brings quantum physics to the masses.
Unless you read that book of his.
Well, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I'm Elegant Universe.
I've gotten only about a third of the way in, and then my brain just turns to goo because I can't follow it.
Yeah, I about halfway through, and the mathematics just higher mathematics, and all of the formulas there. And I think that's probably one of those situations where you just have to look at it and move on instead of trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to do, though, because the first part of it is so engaging and you want to try to understand it because he presents it so well, but then he starts getting into this higher math and then it's like hitting all these roadblocks.
Yep, exactly. But Elegant Universe was actually turned into a PBS miniseries.
The Nova series
was wonderful.
It's fantastic.
And it really makes the book make a lot more sense. And our friend Corey Nelson picked up a new book by him this week, The Hidden Reality About Parallel Universes.
Right, I've heard about that.
Yep. And then we have a friend of ours, Jasmine Durand, and a very good friend of mine from way back in the college days, Ed McAllister. Happy birthday, Ed. February 10th, Roberta Flack, singer, born in North Carolina, earned a scholarship to Howard University and got a BA in music and taught music for a while.
Oh, good for her.
Was discovered singing jazz in a Washington nightclub. Most famous for two particular songs, Killing Me Softly with his song, and The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. And then she was a longtime friend and neighbor of Yoko Ono.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, in the Dakota. Yep. Then we have Jerry Goldsmith.
No, one of my
composer,
favorites.
One of the most recognizable TV and film composers, along with John Williams and now Michael Giacchino. My gosh. But
they almost make up the Holy Trinity.
Exactly. And then, going back in time, you have Elmer Bernstein and, all of those, and Wolfgang Korngold, just incredible. And Star Trek Next Generation and later composer of many of the themes and scores for Star Trek films, just as well as many, 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 many other things. I just love Jerry's.
His work is fantastic.
His score for Soarin' Over California.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Oh my God.
But the man was so ahead of his time that I think he scared Oscar. Because you look at his soundtrack for Planet of the Apes, and it's terrifying in a good way.
Yeah,
but it's terrifying,
and
because there's something so very primal and scary about it. Very percussive, almost atonal, but not quite. But it starts to kind of dovetail into that area, but appropriately so because it fits the movie,
right? And
that just goes to show how well he was able to integrate his themes and his musical ideas into what we would see on the screen.
And his score for Patton was just
incredible. I love it.
I mean, there's that one scene that you hear that and you are immediately taken to that scene in the film.
Yes.
It's just
I know the scene you're talking about.
Then we have Leontine Price, opera singer, first major black singer to have a long-running career at the Met. She was born in Mississippi, and she was picked to open the new Met in Lincoln Center in Barber's Antony and Cleopatra. What was that, 69, 68, 69?
I think it's a little earlier than that.
Yeah. But
the first opera to open at the new Met Opera House.
And she had some wonderful interview segments in the documentary The Opera
sang!
House. The 50 years at the Met, yeah.
She sang a little tiny phrase, and it caught me. I almost
at the age of 92 or something.
And okay, so it wasn't quite as high as she did it originally, but she was still able to pop into her upper register and sing these few notes, and I almost broke down sobbing.
Yeah, she's just wonderful.
Amazing lady, and to get an interview with her is extremely difficult.
Yeah. February 11th, Leo Szilard, a Hungarian physicist. He is the one that conceived the nuclear chain reaction and patented the idea for a nuclear
careful there,
fission reactor, and was part of the Manhattan Project, which after he realized what was going to be done with that, after the war, he switched to biology and would have nothing to do with nuclear physics anymore.
Many scientists who worked on the Manhattan Project all kind of walked away from that and wished... I mean, they understood the need for it, but they all expressed great regret.
Yep. Helped found the Salk Institute for Biological Studies. And we have Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, he's not...
Actor... Forbidden Planet, Airplane, Naked Gun series, may have been the first Trekkie. Called Dorothy Fontana the day after the first episode and offered high praise.
And a lot of people say that his role in Forbidden Planet was the archetype for James T. Kirk.
Exactly. Yep. And then we have Facebook friend Raleigh Renault.
You missed Taylor Lautner.
I took him off the list.
You took him off the list?
Yes.
Oh.
Anyway. February 12th. Steve Hackett. Singer, musician.
Mostly guitarist.
Genesis. Solo career.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Phenomenal guitarist. And I think there's something so rewarding in that here you've got this brilliant musician who, after he decides to, embark on a solo career, includes doing classical albums, just playing classical guitar, and has won Grammys from the in the classical music category.
Yeah.
The guy is fantastic. We've seen him twice now in concert, and I would love to see him a third time.
Yep. Then we have Joe Garagiola.
Mr. Baseball.
Mr. Baseball, player and sometime TV personality. He, To Tell the Truth and Match Game were his two big things. He was the host of To Tell the Truth for a while.
I didn't know he hosted it.
Yeah, and then was on Match Game a number of times as a guest. Grew up in the same neighborhood as Yogi Berra. And
Well,
they
the
were
two of them,
they were friends. Yeah.
lifelong friends, yes.
And provided color commentary for the Diamondbacks when they were at home. Oh, my.
Oh,
the stories. Joe
I know.
would tell. Oh, my God.
It was just filled with anecdotes all over the place. It was quite fun to listen to.
Yeah, he was great to listen to. He'd get carried away and then be trying to call the game.
We're trying to get back to the play-by-play bit, but he's too busy telling, just waxing on.
Telling a story.
Yeah. Or he'd be waxing on. Oh, by the way, this player made it to second. And then he'd go right back to his story. It's like, wow.
And then we have a friend of ours, Roberto Marcellini.
Oh, another
Daria
great,
Roberto.
Another great guitarist.
Yes. February 13th, Stockard Channing, actress who was in Grease and The West Wing. Mm-hmm. She auditioned for the role of Lois Lane in Superman.
That's right, she did. You can actually find the footage on the Blu-ray for Superman the movie.
Yep. And then she played Judy Shepard in the Matthew Shepard story, which she won an Emmy for.
Oh, I didn't know that. I can't watch that.
Yeah. Peter Gabriel, a singer-songwriter, human rights activist.
Another former member of Genesis.
And his solo career, done more in his solo career, I think, than he did for Genesis.
He has. Yeah, his solo career is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean just
incredible music.
Totally inventive and innovative and original. Yep. Nobody like him, and it just makes me sorry.
Nobody liked him. What?
No, nobody like him.
Oh.
Everybody loved him. Are you kidding?
There we go.
Everybody loved him. They loved working with the guy.
Yep.
What is just so sad isn't, as you see with so many other artists and musicians, they reach a point in their life where, they're too old to go out on the road and do what they were doing that made them so popular. Because I saw this guy just once in concert when he came here to Phoenix, and it was one of the best concerts I have ever seen in my life. Just very theatrical, very original. Guy is just a genius.
Yep. He works with Amnesty International quite a bit and co-founded with Richard Branson and Nelson Mandela the Elders in 2007. Then we have a friend of ours, Facebook friend of ours, Joe Phillips, who is an incredible artist and just creator, period. He does all kinds of costuming, and his artwork is just fantastic. You have to look him up on Facebook, Joe Phillips, and he does a series called The Witch Boys, and he has all kinds of different witches and different colors and different styles and people. You have a bear and you have a twink and you have this and that. Just really great artwork. So check him out. February 14th, Florence Henderson, America's TV mom.
Yeah, pretty much.
On the Brady Bunch. First woman to guest host The Tonight Show in 1962.
Oh, in 62?
In 62. And longtime friend of Shirley Jones, America's other TV mom.
Another favorite TV mom. Far out. Well, they were, and it was great that they were, when Brady Bunch and Partridge Family were in their prime, they were back-to-back on Friday nights on ABC.
And this little shout-out is for our niece Summers. Florence Henderson is an honorary member of the Delta Zeta sorority.
Aha!
So, and then we have Simon Pegg. Actor, JJ Star Trek as Scotty. Was in Doctor Who, Star Wars. What was that film?
Oh my
God!
Now you ask me. Yeah,
Paul.
Oh my God! What a great movie!
Crazy!
What a great movie that is!
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. And then we have Renee Fleming, opera singer, who recently retired from opera to sing on Broadway. Both parents were voice teachers. She grew up, Go figure. She said, my parents talked about singing every night at the dinner table. So she got quite the music history lesson. She studied at Juilliard and has degrees from the State University of New York, Potsdam, and Eastman School of Music. Has 2 daughters, and I believe one of her daughters appeared on stage with her.
She did. I can't remember which production it was, but she did appear.
Yep. And then we have Facebook friend Vilan Trube and Vasilis Milicis and Billy Bruley, who's an opera singer himself. And that's it for the birthdays this time. What am I doing? There we go.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig at Technorama Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
As always, we want to give a shout out to the Joshua Tree Feeding Program. It's very near and dear to our heart because of people that we know, and it's just a wonderful charity. It's a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV and AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They offer a place where the clients can select from a wide variety of, or wide assortment of nutritional foods to take home. And they set it up just like a store. So they go in, the clients can shop for what they want, and it empowers them to choose the food they want, and no food is wasted. They could certainly use your help right now. They are, as I said, nonprofit food pantry. They have no paid staff, but they have things that they have to pay for. If you want to support Joshua Tree, you can go to jtfp.org.
And it's time for our feedback, and each of these articles that generated the feedback will be featured in the show notes for this episode, TG Geeks episode number 312, at our website at tggeeks.com. Starting with, regarding TG Geeks episode number 307, we got a comment from Hamish Downey. And this is one where just Keith and I were there. We were just doing all the talking. He says, I can't wait to listen. I love the episodes where the two of you wax lyrical. Okay. And thank you for my birthday shout out. 41 this year.
41? You're just a child,
just
Hamish.
A baby. One more year until I find out the meaning of life.
Yes.
Oh, well. I had a clever retort, and I just threw it away.
It went away.
Yeah. And then from Pop and Fizz Podcast, they left this on Instagram. They said, thank you again for featuring us. And then we got a comment from last week's birthday boy, Arkle. He says, wait, Ben hated Blackadder Goes Forth? Wow. I know the season had a sad ending, but considering it's about World War I, there was really no other way it could end. And in my opinion, I think it's a testament to how well written that season was that the premiere episode contains what I consider to be one of the very few suicide jokes in all of fiction that is genuinely funny. And not just in a gallows humor kind of way either. That is nearly impossible to pull off. There's a reason the majority of internet reviewers I follow stopped making suicide jokes in their reviews around 2010. I'm not going to say that I hated Blackadder Goes Forth. It just did not make me laugh. That's all there's. I'm sorry, it didn't make me laugh. The earlier Blackadder period material, that made me laugh a lot. Moving on. Regarding Ben's holiday breakdown, The Perfect Wedding is the perfect holiday love story. We got a comment from the movie star, Jason T. Gaffney. He says, I'm honored.
I'm honored
and humbled. I am honored and humbled by such wonderful words. Thank you so much. And then we close this off regarding Ben's breakdown, The Stand 3 episode thoughts. Got a comment from Dottie Crone. She says, I have to disagree a bit on your take of the 1994 miniseries. Gary Sinise was amazing, and Jamie Sheridan scared the bejesus out of me. I had read the novel before and was amazed at the plot still to this day. Cheesy ending? Not sure what you mean. I don't think I'll watch this remake as I loved all of the characters in the 94 series, but may read the book again for the third time. I want to add a little tiny thing. The cheesy ending that was in the miniseries does not appear so far. We had the same moment occurred in the most latest episode of The Stand, and they did it in a far more terrifying manner. So that's my take on it. I really think you should check it out, Dottie. I think the Stand miniseries is fantastic, the one they got going on now. So anyway, that is our feedback for this week.
And if you want to comment on, like these folks have, on any, whether it's a article that we've written, as some of them have, or on an episode, you can do that at tggeeks.com. You can comment on our YouTube episodes or Twitter or Instagram. My gosh, I can't read today. And we also have a listener feedback.
Fitter and Twacebook.
Yes, exactly. And if you want to leave a voicemail, you can do that. You can call the listener feedback line.
The listener leadback line.
At 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone. And I'm really fumbling it today. That was the wrong order of sounds there.
Oops.
We are huge supporters of independent creators, whether filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. Please consider supporting independent creators by going to their Facebook pages or Etsy pages or web pages, Twitter, Instagram. Look them up, look at their stuff, chat them up. Chat to other people about their stuff, and please consider supporting independent creators.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Okay, I think
we're back on track now.
Yeah, no, I did think of something because before we started recording this, I was just perusing through Facebook, and there was a thread about WandaVision, and our friend Corey said that she had seen the first episode and wasn't sure if she wanted to continue.
This is spoiler free, by the way.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about any details except to say that there is a reason why these episodes are made the way they are made.
Yes.
And it makes me think back to something that you also said last night after we watched episode 5, and that is this: it's almost like we're being forced to return to a form of weekly episodic viewing.
Right.
as opposed to just dumping it all in one shot like Netflix has done.
Exactly. And that's kind of part of what's fueling some of this as well, is this weekly release as we went back to the 60s, 70s, and the 80s of the style that they've done. But I think once you get past that, the first one is really kooky and you think, what the heck am I watching?
Yeah, but again, there is a reason.
Exactly.
You don't see it after you finish the first episode. You don't see it after you finish the second episode. You start to get a sense of it when you finish the third. And then when you get into episode 4, all of a sudden it all makes sense. And then you begin to realize why you were forced to watch episodes 1, 2, and 3 the way you did.
Exactly. So I would say to anybody that's watching it or having difficulty with it, just tough it out. It gets better.
Yeah, Will Wheaton said the same thing. He watched the first 2 episodes and almost threw in the towel, but then decided, oh my goodness, I just lost my headphones. And then decided that he was going to stick it out, and he's glad that he did, because episode 5, he said, just blew him away.
Well, okay. Sorry. I'm just having difficulties today. Let's move on.
And it's time for our weekly review. These are the things that we ran on our website, tggeeks.com, for this past week. And the links for each of these story items will be in the show notes for this episode number 312 at tggeeks.com. Starting with January 31st, Sunday, Nerdy Chupacabras number 33 on Monday the 1st. TG Geeks episode number 311 on Tuesday the 2nd. Black History Month on Reverie on Wednesday the 3rd. HBO Max original limited series It's a Sin, premiering February 18th. People are just crying their eyeballs watching that one. Thursday the 4th. Andrea's Angle for a sci-fi romance. Bliss is surreal yet beautiful. On Friday the 5th. Hamish Downey's new Sushi number 110, Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond. And we close it off on Saturday the 6th, This Got Made, hosted by Carlton Tetley, Season 2, Episode F, Lady Rawhide. And that's what we ran on our website this past week at tggeeks.com. Have a couple of shout-outs that we need to make. First, to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News, put up by the Human Arkle. You heard some feedback from him a little bit earlier. His name is Brian Weber. You can find the Post-Dispatch News by finding him on Twitter. Do that by searching for Arkle at ARKLE. E-I-E-I-O. And then you, at the same time, just head over to YouTube and look for his Arkle Studios there, youtube.com/Arkle Studios. Brian has a number of projects going on there. Some are done. He'll bring back later on, possibly. And some he's still in the middle of. For example, he's got his Shameless Cash Grab series, his Rants vs. Zombies series, which has officially ended, but you can still listen to past episodes there. And he still has his game videos of Trick and Treat, as well as Star Trek Online. We must also give some shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First to the Gay Geeks After Hours. When I asked them, can we please share our stuff there, sirs? They said, yes, please share away. Their URL is facebook.com/group/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for the same. And their URL is facebook.com/group/The Gay Geek. And as always, we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Amazon podcasts, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Sci-Fi Radio, the former Krypton Radio, at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays, and listen to their other content. They are a 24-hour geeky internet sci-fi radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank God that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast.
This
I made so many mistakes.
This one's almost a train wreck.
Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I am Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Stay home, stay safe, stay sane. Peace.
Cheers.